Good evening and welcome to Point Blank here at KTN News, shooting from the Nairobi's Arena. In 1997, the late Dr. Apollo Jonjo and Professor Anyang' Nyong'o launched the Social Democratic Party, which launched the presidential bid of the first Kenyan woman running for president, Honorable Charity Ngilu. She went on to win 19 seats in parliament, 6 of them from central Kenya, and scored a victory against our current president in Gatundu, with Moses Muhia defeating Uhuru Kenyatta. This weekend at the historical Tonanoka grounds, Team Embrace was hosted by Governor Hassan Joho. 2 women, Charity Ngilu and one Waiguru, took the limelight. What is going on at Team Embrace?
Talk of an expanded executive in Kenya brings to the political high table 3 more seats, that is Prime Minister and 2 Deputy Prime Ministers. In the ensuing environment and backed by the Constitution, specifically Article 81B that states, the electoral system shall comply with the principle that no more than 2/3 of the members of elective public bodies shall be of the same gender. The time for women to lead Kenya has never been more apparent or applicable. The governors for Kitui and Kirinyaga, Charity Ngilu and Anne Waiguru, respectively, are the 2 leaders increasingly mentioned as the women to break through the glass ceiling if and should a redrawn executive is rubber-stamped by the people of Kenya via a referendum. Ngilu has for close to 3 decades been at the forefront of the political field. She was first elected in 1992 as a representative for Kitui Central constituency on a Democratic Party ticket, at the height for the clamor and return of multi-partyism in Kenya. In 1997, she broke away from the Mwai Kibaki-led DP to the little-known Social Democratic Party, fronted by Apollo Njonjo and Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, and launched a spirited campaign for the Kenyan presidency. Whilst placing 5th behind President Daniel Arap Moi, Ngilu and SDP registered wins in her Ukambani backyard and significantly in the then Kiambu district. SDP candidate for Gatundu South, Moses Muhia, trounced the ruling party's KANU's nominee, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. In 2002, Ngilu teamed up with Kibaki and Ford Kenya's Kijana Wamalwa, together with KANU rebels led by Raila Odinga, George Saitoti and Kalonzo Musyoka. They would form the NAK alliance, sweeping KANU from office. President Mwai Kibaki would appoint her as Minister for Health. In 2007, Ngilu would team up with Raila and Kalonzo in a bid to oust Kibaki. Following the formation of a grand coalition government in April 2008, Ngilu was sworn in as Minister for Water and Irrigation. In 2013, Ngilu teamed up with Kenyatta, William Ruto and Najib Balala under the banner of the Jubilee Alliance. Following Uhuru's election as a first president and deputy president under the new constitution, Ngilu was appointed Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Housing and Urban Development. Ngilu was elected governor for Kitui County in 2017. Anne Waiguru was introduced to the National Theatre in April 2013 when President Kenyatta appointed her as Cabinet Secretary for Devolution and Planning. In 2017, Waiguru contested the Kirinyaga County governorship, a battle that pitted her against former Justice Minister Iron Lady Martha Karua. Following a 2-year battle, the Supreme Court on 6th of August 2019 terminated Karua's election petition, challenging her victory in a unanimous decision. Both Waiguru and Ngilu spearhead Team Embrace, an assembly of women leaders from across the political divide, brought together by the handshake, united in their quest for peace, development and prosperity, and the full actualization of Article 81B.
The NYERI town MP, Ngunjiri Wambugu, hit the headlines when he said, "KIELEWEKE." And then there was an answer, "TANGA." Before we look at KIELEWEKE or TANGA, Was it a message from Kenyatta? Was it a message that Kenya should look again at? Where did KIELEWEKE begin and why?
Hii kijana anaitwa Ruto, unajua kila weekend anatanga kila pahali. Atakuwa anapitia hizi machorochoro. Akiona kuna kitu inaenda kona mumwambie. Si namna hiyo? Si namna hiyo?
What is the meaning of tanga? Loosely translated, it means moving around aimlessly. At the funeral service of the mother of National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi in Siakago, Deputy President William Ruto would respond to the President's 20th May 2018 Jacaranda Grounds, Nairobi outburst.
Ni Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa ile ruhusa umenipatia na amri umenipatia ambayo ulisema juzi yenye mimi nafanya kila weekend huko mashinani, vitongojini, vijijini, hata na huko kwenye vichochoro, nataka nikupatie report.
The unprecedented pot shots between the two leaders in the space of 2 days appear to confirm the rumors of growing cracks in UHURU following their re-election that could no longer be patched over. What had troubled UHURU? The back-to-back rallies and harambes by members of his Jubilee Party, particularly from his Mount Kenya backyard, with Ruto in the guise of development. At one such rally at the turn of the year 2018, Gatundu South Representative Moses Kuria declared, and I quote, that political check for DP Ruto is already written and I am the one keeping it safe for him. Kuria, who is UHURU's Member of Parliament, made this stunning pronouncement in Eldoret. Ngunjiri Wambugu, the NYERI town Member of Parliament, took to social media to respond to Kuria's declaration, asserting that in 2022, my vote will not depend on betrayal or paying debts. There is no such thing in politics, and nobody is or has ever been supported for the presidency of any country anywhere on earth unconditionally. Thus began the KIELEWEKE movement that Ngunjiri repeatedly states is in support of UHURU's pledges and promises to the people of Kenya and, where need be, defend the president against his detractors.
A lot of people see the handshake as changing Kenyan politics. In fact, a lot of people say that Odinga had put his own people, Tuju and NYERI town MP, Ngunjiri Wambugu, watengeneze jia kwa baba. Is the handshake more than the handshake?
It has been 17 months since the extraordinary coming together of President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga on the steps of Harambee House, Nairobi. A key consequence of the handshake has been the Building Bridges Initiative Task Force led by Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji. Despite strong opposition from the Deputy President Dr. William Ruto and his close allies,
Hii haiwezi kubadilishwa kwa mambo ya porojo na fitina na maneno ya ugomvi. Kenya itabadilishwa pale tutaungana.
The BBI team recently concluded their countrywide tour, and a formal report is expected to be handed over to President Kenyatta and Raila Odinga within the month of September. Underlining the significance of the BBI was a recent circular addressed to all cabinet secretaries and the Attorney General, dated July 19, 2019. The author of the circular, Head of Public Service Joseph Kinyua, listed support for the Building Bridges Initiative by implementing interventions aimed at promoting national unity and nationhood among 8 commitments in the 2018 President's Annual Report within the 16th Cycle Performance Contracting Guidelines for the 2019-2020 financial year.
Point Blank went all the way to NYERI town to find out why a man would stop meetings of women in NYERI town, why the MP of NYERI would say that NYERI is a no-go zone for Inua Mama. Uko ni pahali ya embrace. But before I talk to the architect and the founder of Team KIELEWEKE, Ngunjiri Wambugu, what has he done before?
Ngunjiri Wambugu is the Member of Parliament for NYERI Town constituency. The 44-year-old, who holds a degree in political science and philosophy from the University of Nairobi, is the architect of the KIELEWEKE movement, a fierce supporter of President Uhuru Kenyatta's policies of fighting corruption, uniting the country, and the Big Four economic blueprint.
I think it is quite clear that the president is very committed to fighting corruption. He has made it it's become what he breathes everywhere he goes. And part of the reason he's annoyed a lot of the times, as you've noticed, is because there seems to be a direct effort to undermine his war against corruption. And unfortunately, the people who are attacking the DCI, who is an appointee of the president to fight corruption, the people who are attacking the DPP are allies of the deputy president.
In the National Assembly, he serves as a member of the Administration and National Security Parliamentary Committee.
Right now, the president has said he wants to unite the country. Politics, by their very nature, are divisive. So when you start saying, I want my candidate, even in NYERI, for example, if I started doing politics for my 2022 seat, it would mean I can only serve those people who agree with me. So if you don't agree with me, I either alienate you, or I have to now force you to come to me so that I can serve you. And that's not what we were put to do.
The self-styled independent thinker is also working on a bill on the Judicial Service Commission that seeks to expand the membership of this critical institution that oversees the operations of one arm of the government beyond the legal profession that is currently very heavily represented in it. A father to 3 children, the NYERI Town Member of Parliament is currently pursuing his Master's in Philosophy at the University of Nairobi.
Mheshimiwa, karibu sana. Mheshimiwa, I want to start at the beginning. This BBI report, we are coming to it.
Yeah.
But just before that, imambo ya kina mama, you know, at the funeral of Joyce Roboso,
yes,
watu walianza kuona kuna kitu. I want you to tell what is going on behind the scenes.
Thank you, TG. I think one of the things that we must accept is that women are stepping up and taking their space in the political field. Politics, the Kenyan style, is very, very difficult for women. And what I have seen happening is that now women have organized themselves into groups that they can control and that they can operate in regard to their own political space, in creating their own political space. Remember, for a long time, women have had to join men's teams. So when I look around, in fact, was it yesterday when I saw that even our court has launched a women thing, which is when he was asking for money, it's actually women who did a press conference. So I think the space in the political space in the country is being widened by women. I think that is extremely impressive, what they have managed to do. But then also, it tells you that the politics that we are getting involved in is changing. For a long time, we were doing brash politics.
Mohesh, why I'm asking the question is because when you began KIELEWEKE issues, you know, it began to gather steam.
Yes.
And now Tanga KIELEWEKE seems to be the defining matter. Since that time, the new ingredient is team embrace.
Yes.
A team of women across religion, across region. It seems to be getting energy, well-funded, well-organized.
And
wewe kama wewe KIELEWEKE, nini inaendelea?
No, first and foremost, Embrace has done an amazing job. First, you have to accept the concept. You have to understand the concept of embrace. Embrace, by the very meaning of the word, is about coming together. And they have organized around the building bridges, the handshake. And what we have seen is a power of women from across the country, across political divide, and what they can do for the country. You know, in Embrace, you find ODM women, you find Jubilee women, you find ANC women, you find a lot of women from different groups. And they are basically shaking up the country. They're shaking up the political space. You cannot ignore them. When you see Governor 001 hosting them, in Tononoka, which is actually a very historic ground. And Tononoka is where coastal politics is defined. When you see him appear in the meeting and accept to be associated with them, it tells you that he can see. And anybody who is a smart political person can see that where Embrace is going, it's going to shake up people's political careers.
Mheshimiwa, you are on record as among the people opposing Deputy President William Ruto. And I wonder to what extent the team Embrace and you, Minor Commander, and the group of resistance from Central Kenya, I wonder how, is this organized? Did it spring up? Is there a plan I cannot see? Is there some?
Well, first and foremost, Tony, if we were to be point blank about it, for example, we are at the second term of the president, Uhuru Kenyatta. We are going to a transition in 2022. And one of the things that's going to be critical as we go into that transition is what is going to happen to the people who come from our community, Mount Kenya region, Central Kenya. It's a conversation that people are trying to whitewash. And one of the things that upset me when I was starting out on KIELEWEKE was the deputy president looked like he expected to get the votes of our region on a silver platter. It looked like he expected Mount Kenya to line up, vote for him to be the president because he had supported the president in 2013 and 2017. And for me, that didn't work. I mean, it just looked bad because we're 8 million votes. And we have a lot of things, we have a lot of interests.
Mheshimiwa,
yes.
Are you saying Central Kenya is on the table?
No, Central Kenya must be on the table. I mean, there's no way you're going to have a political conversation in this country without considering Central Kenya. We are a critical player, and my problem with how the deputy president was doing his campaigns was he looked like he wanted to make us, props or an associate player in the political game of this country. He looked like he was taking us for granted.
So, Mheshimiwa, this is interesting. Are you saying that Mount Kenya is going to negotiate? Are you saying BBI is more than...
Politics is about negotiation, Tony. Politics has always been about negotiation. There's even, for example, myself as a member of parliament, for me to get elected, you had to actually negotiate with the people who are voting for you. If you're going to run for president in this country, you have to negotiate. And the Kikuyu community is too large a community not to be at the table. In fact, the Kikuyu community, after we finish this census, I am nearly sure is going to be that community you cannot ignore if you're going to run this country. And for us as KIELEWEKE, that's the message we needed people to understand. You can't run away from the fact that we're not going anywhere. Uhuru is the one who's going home. As we are still here, the Kikuyu community is not going home. We have to be players. We have interests that are going to continue after Uhuru Kenyatta retires in 2022, and those interests must be taken care of. So you can't walk in and tell us you expect us to vote for you based on a past event that you did for us.
BBI is not about Kenyatta.
No, it's not.
So if we take two steps back,
yes,
you're saying that if we are going to have a referendum, you are looking at changing power, the structure, or how do you actualize the interest of Mount Kenya?
Tony, if and when Uhuru leaves office in 2022, let's assume we work with the current structure as it is, where everybody assumes that William Ruto is going to take over after him. There are two scenarios. William Ruto's running mate becomes a Kikuyu. If William Ruto's running mate is a Kikuyu, the rest of the country is going to rebel, meaning that he's most probably not going to make it. The other scenario is William Ruto gets a non-Kikuyu to be his running mate. Now, if that happens, you're going to have a situation where the Kikuyu community is going to be out of power. Now, the question that arises is, if we continue with the current system of governance...
Winner take all?
Winner take all. And then we are not in that equation in 2022, when are we going to get back into a situation where we have a say in national politics? 8 million votes are going to be disenfranchised from national politics because we have a system that has a winner-take-all, that whoever gets in determines what happens to the rest of the communities. And remember something, Tony, in Kenya, 5 communities make up 75% of our population, meaning that it doesn't matter what dynamics you play with when you have 2 positions, there are always going to be 3 communities outside that are doing everything they can to undermine the 2 that are in office. We've seen it. We saw it in the first term. In fact, why not for the handshake? Uhuru would be having a very, very difficult time in this term.
So Mheshimiwa, behind the headline, and this is point blank,
yep,
why is Team Embrace becoming so visible now? If you are saying that the Kikuyu must negotiate.
Yes.
And I saw in Tononoka grounds, Charity Ngilu reimagine.
Yes.
Anne Waiguru imagine. I'm trying to understand, Are you preparing this country for something? You see, I don't know what's happening with the BBI report.
No, actually, you see,
but
see, Tony, that's the other thing I'm finding very strange. I find people fighting the BBI, and I keep asking myself, what are you fighting? We don't have anything yet. What we have is a team of 12 people who've been going around the country collecting views from people on 9 points that we all agree on. Issues of inclusivity, issues of tribal animosity. These are things we all agree on. So they've been going around collecting views. Nobody has actually come out and told us what they have agreed. But I'm hearing some of my colleagues fighting BBI and saying they don't want it. And I'm asking, is there something they know? In fact, if anybody was to know, some of us would know. But we haven't gone to the point where there's anything to know. Once the report is out, we will now, as a country, have a conversation about it. I see people trying to preempt it, and maybe part of it is because it is certainly going to recommend that we have to do something about our governance structure. I think you'd have to be a fool not to realize there's a problem with a situation where we have 50 million Kenyans fighting for 2 positions to determine the fate of everybody.
Mheshimiwa, let's talk about Central Kenya before we move on. The elephant in the room has been Peter Kenneth.
Yes.
The idea that Kenyatta may leave and he is waiting. Mm-hmm. Now you're telling me now there is a game that may be going on. In terms of Central Kenya and the leadership, post-Kenyatta, do you have a game plan? Is there something I cannot see?
There's one mzee who once told me that Central Kenya leadership always emerges, and it is always driven by crisis. We don't have anybody who is entitled to be a leader in Central Kenya. And this is important. I have had people talk about dynasties and point fingers at Uhuru Kenyatta. It is important for people to realize that Uhuru did not become president because he was his father's son. He became president because at a certain point in where the region had a crisis, he actually emerged as the person who had a solution to it and nearly got sacrificed for it through the ICC.
6 years he was at the ICC.
6 years at the ICC. And what was he doing? He was actually at the ICC because he had become the face of the person who stepped up to protect the interests of the community and to protect physically the community when it was being attacked. Now, we are going into a transition. This is another crisis. A crisis of what is going to happen to the community once Uhuru Kenyatta retires. The person, and this is why you see people like NYERI imagine, and this is anybody who wants to actually be a leader of Mount Kenya has to be thinking very seriously about this 2022 transition. It's not about becoming president if you are coming from the region. It is about giving direction to the community in what direction they're going to go. We have people telling us who to vote for. I personally don't think we've even reached there. I think what we need, the conversation we need to be having is what to determine what is going to vote.
I have to take you back point blank. And, you know, the BBI discussion, which is now at the center front, is talking about reorganizing the executive. A president hybrid system with a prime minister, with the deputies of a prime minister, etc. So you're looking at 4 to 5
positions. Actually, I gave my my opinion. I actually gave a memo when the BBI came to NYERI, and that was my position. We need to expand the executive to at least 5 positions. Why do I say that? We need 5 positions because we need to be able to have a lot more people as the face of this country. And you know what's going to happen naturally? Once you have 5 positions, you're going to always have 5 communities represented in those 5 positions. And what's going to happen is that once you have 5 communities, then you have 5 communities working to make that term of that president succeed.
Why I'm zooming into those 5, you are saying that one of them must be a Kikuyu.
It's not even a bit about it must be. There's going to be no natural way that one of them cannot be a Kikuyu. We are a country whose politics is tribal. We can talk about it, we can whitewash it, but that's exactly what it is. When I think about the Mau that is happening right now, we have people who are picking that issue and tribalizing it. So our politics is not going to stop being tribal. And it means that if you have a community in a country like this that has 8 million votes, there's no way they're not going to be on the table.
So as we move on to change gears, before I do, out of these 5, is there going to be 5 men?
I suspect not. I suspect that for purposes of where we need to go as a country, and remembering that Obama told us you have to play with both sides of your team. You can't have a situation where half of your team is sitting on the benches. And we have close to 50%. We'll see what the census tells us now. But the last census told us that close to 51% of our population was women. I don't see how fair it's going to be to imagine that out of those 5, all of them are going to be women. But the challenge now goes to the women, that the women who are going to play in this game must be really so much better.
Ngunjiri, you know, this is point blank. The 2 senior most women with the death of Rabos
and NYERI.
Yeah, so I'm asking this point.
It has, in fact, that's actually the space. These two women, and see, one is from Eastern, one is from Central. So there's going to be a situation where Anne Waiguru, and you can see, she's already she's taking position. She's actually trying to position herself. She's setting the agenda. People are hating at her. But I tell people that when people start hating at you, then it means people are listening to you. The last time she was on your show, she spoke about some of the decisions that we're going to make as a region. Everybody went, I mean, guys were really upset.
So moving on.
Yes.
A minor commander and yourself
Yes.
have been seen to be the key proponents, together with my brother David Murathe, stopping Ruto's presidency. Why?
It's how he's going about it. Tony, you cannot take presidency in this country by force. That's what Ruto is trying to do. Ruto is trying to streamline everybody. Ruto is trying to make it look like it's an undisputable fact. He's trying to make sure that we are not having negotiations about what happens when he's president. He doesn't want us to talk about what will you do as president. He wants us to talk about why he must be president. He's not telling us, when I become president, I am going to do this. He's not telling us, when I become president, I'm going to settle the people from Kikuyu, the Kikuyus in Rift Valley who have not been able to go back to their land. He's not telling us that he's going to take care of our coffee or our tea. In fact, he's out there campaigning while he's a principal assistant of the guy who's president right now. He's disobeying the president. I watched him in at Dimadio's funeral, where he was carpeted, and I'm really proud of Kafogo for doing it. He actually told him to his face, my friend, you need to Liza Boli. He woke up and he lied to the president to his face and said, I'm not campaigning. That's not, this is a guy who believes that the presidency is his entitlement.
So Mheshimiwa, you are known for KIELEWEKE.
Yes.
And I want to be clear. You associating yourself, Kabogo was very clear.
Yes.
At the funeral of John De Matthew. Murathe was here at Point Blank. What is your message to the people in Central who think that somehow the president has endorsed the deputy president?
I would tell them that the president still has 3 years to go. And the president's decision in 2022, you know, it was in my constituency where he made that statement that he's going to shock people in 2022. I was there. I was present. I didn't hear it from other people. I heard him say it. He said, there are people who think I'm done. There are people who think I'm a finished product. And that was, he still had 4 years when he was saying that. And he said, when we get to 2022, I will make my choice known and people will be shocked. Now, if it was DP, why would we get shocked?
So, Mheshimiwa, when you are stopping people from your constituency,
Yes.
do you know more than we know? Why would you say that NYERI is a no-go zone for the deputy president or his supporters?
Because in NYERI, we have one president at a time. One president at a time. Right now, our president is Uhuru Kenyatta. You cannot come and do presidential campaigns in NYERI at this time. What are you telling us? You're telling us that you do not respect the person who is president. I mean, you're operating like an opposition leader. You're coming to look for votes from a constituency that voted overwhelmingly for the person who is president. So we, as NYERI leaders, I as NYERI, in fact, I am the member of parliament for the constituency that is the central headquarters. So when I tell you, we will not accommodate people doing premature campaigns, I'm actually just echoing what the president has said.
Mheshimiwa, let's just look with a microscope at central Kenya, or what you call the Mount Kenya region. There has been a lot of noise from Governor Waitito, Kamau Washungwa, Kimani Washungwa, and Nyoro of Murang'a. Where is central Kenya? I mean, they say that there is a division, that somehow they control a big chunk. I want to look you in the eye, and I ask you, put hand to heart. Where is Mount Kenya?
Mount Kenya is with Uhuru Kenyatta, 100%. It hasn't moved, it will not move. And the direction that Mount Kenya will take will be determined by Uhuru Kenyatta by the time he finishes his term.
Why is Tanga confident that they have Mount Kenya?
Tanga is not confident. Tanga is running a bluff. They are running a bluff that they can confuse people on the basis that the president has endorsed the deputy president. It's important, Tony, for us to notice that the president has never actually not endorsed the deputy president. What he has said is that we have 5 years, we have to finish. In politics, it's about how you finish. It's not about how you start.
Mheshimiwa, many people are watching you today
Yes.
in Central Kenya. And when the cameras are off and you meet your colleagues in parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, all these people, and you talk to them eyeball to eyeball,
Yes.
what gives them the courage?
They don't have courage. I can tell you that eyeball off cameras, those are very scared people. They thought they had the pulse of the country. They thought they had the pulse of the president. The recent happenings over the last 6-7 months have shown them that maybe they were wrong. What we now see are people who are completely on the defensive all the time. When you listen to Ndindi Nyoro, when you listen to Kimani Ichung'wah, when you listen to
what is the
Waitito,
motivation? Then why would they do it?
they already
They are every week in central Kenya.
They are in too far. You remember, I'm a member of parliament, and I know what kind of work goes into facilitating some of these members of parliament to accompany the deputy president across the country.
This is point blank. Useme wazi.
Watu wanapatiangwa pesa, watembee na yeye. Now, if you have been getting money to travel with the deputy president for months, your budget has changed. So now when you're doing your monthly maths, you actually already include the money that you have been getting to travel around the country. How are you going to pull back?
Are you telling the people of Mount Kenya that the MPs who are there are taking money?
Oh yes, there are MPs who we have, and I can say this, and I can say it to their face. We have members of parliament who collect envelopes every Friday, who get money to travel. TG, let's be honest. Why would I travel to various parts of the country to drum up support for a presidential candidate unless I'm getting paid for it?
And there's no election.
And there's no election. Why would I do it? There must be a financial motivation. You cannot tell me that you are running around, leaving your constituency every Friday, Saturday, Sunday to go and campaign for somebody who is running for president in 3 years for free or because you love him. No.
Well, this is a point here at KTN News. The Chinese have a proverb that ambition without knowledge is like a ship on land. Ngunjiri Wambugu anaambia Ruto, kitaeleweka, hakuna kura Central. It's KTN News.